Hello, everybody, and welcome to the zoo. I am the Rusty Panda, and I am here for you. Today is Wiki Wednesday, and we've got Ragged World here. How are you doing, Ragged World?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hey, out there, the levels sound good. Everybody sound good. Good, good, good. Everything good? No, it's great. Hi, Sencha. Hi, everybody. Hi, Galloway. Hi, Mark Rides. Hi, Infozar, who's a jerk. Hi, Alchemutation.
Jeez.
He is. Books, Brews, and Booze. And Rob. I think that's everybody.
Right.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Okay.
I've seen all you 5 seconds ago.
Well, hello, people I just saw. So, all of you who don't know, this is Wiki Wednesday, where we do interviews with the help of Wikipedia. Essentially, we're going to go over some topics that were given to me ahead of time, and then topics that just come up from natural conversation. And we'll go through Wikipedia and kind of learn some things as we do it. So, how you feeling? You feeling good about that? Do you want me to call you Rick or Ragged World?
You call me whatever you want. Ragged's good. Rick is good.
Okay, I might
Just
slip
don't
out.
call me late for dinner. Oh, no.
But
Okay.
I'm chill.
Yeah, so terrible. It's the worst. The worst.
What happened to not being rude? You were cuter, and the cat shift back. Okay, well, come on now. That the shift back to the cat. I'll shift back to the cat. No, I'm kidding. Okay, studio mode, go away. Okay, so the chat should be coming up in the bottom right, and I haven't noticed it. So we might just not have chat on screen today. I don't know. It just might not happen, and that's fine. Oh, there it is. Perfect. I'm just having some fun. Mark Rides, I hope you have the most fun here. That is all I wish for. Okay, so if you notice, the first thing I have up is chopsticks. This is
Yeah.
a Galvos test. Um, so I have chopsticks up on the board because essentially, well, let's talk about you for a second. We're going to always talk about you, but I will go on rants from time to time and then just be like, hey, we're talking about me. And I'll be like, duh. So, okay. Tell me why you like chopsticks. What is your love for chopsticks that you wanted to put into some of the things that you like and chopsticks came up?
Chopsticks came up because I have eaten almost exclusively with chopsticks for since I was about 17 years old. I just
Really?
decided, yeah, I was like, this is harder. And I like martial arts and stuff. I think I was doing kung fu at the time. And I was like, well, if we're going to be doing kung fu, then we have to eat with chopsticks 100% of the time. And
Yes.
I just, it grew on me. I started to love it. And I was like, okay, I don't want to use a fork. I started to like use a fork like this. I couldn't grab things. And I was like, oh no, but when you're good with it, you can grab anything as long as it's not like a full steak or soup, and
Right, right.
otherwise it works better. So I started to like it, and then it kind of snowballed out of control from there.
So what type of, I mean, so we're looking at different types here. We've got porcelain, bamboo, stainless steel. What's your go-to chopstick?
Okay, I like the wooden ones, like they can be bamboo or made of wood.
Okay.
I generally porcelain, I don't think I have used like those plastic ones in the restaurants, and the metal ones I don't like them. I have some from Korea they use almost exclusively the metal ones in restaurants in Korea. It's a little more sanitary, I think, because you
Yeah.
can wash them better and all of that. But yeah, I don't like them as much. I just feel like somehow the sticks can hit your teeth, and
Yeah.
I don't like
Like
that.
the
The
tines
feeling is
of a
gross.
fork or something where it hits your teeth.
Yeah, isn't the worst? It's like that horrible feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we've got tons of chopsticks and you're saying that you went to Korea, right? Is that what you just said?
No, I didn't go to Korea. My wife went to Korea
Okay.
and brought me back metal chopsticks, and I was like, "Oh, thanks."
There we
And
go.
then I was
Okay.
like, "I'll save them as a special souvenir." And
Put them on
so
this
it's like,
ledge right here and stare at them while I use my other chopsticks.
yeah. It's honestly like the cheapo chopsticks, like from Japan or something, are fantastic. I like using them the best. I like the Japanese chopsticks.
That's awesome. So, okay, so it says you can use it as a cooking utensil. So, do you use it as such as well, like to flip a steak or to like that sort of thing?
I do that. Yeah, I do that 100%. I use it to flip things all the time. So yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, Galvus is saying we have over 100 chopsticks sitting in our house right now.
Yay,
Um,
Galvos, chopstick gang.
we for our wedding, our takeaways were chopsticks that had our names on it and the wedding date. And so my mom ordered like all the chopsticks that ever existed, and I tell you right now, we did not have all the people at our wedding, so we got left over with over 100 pairs of chopsticks.
Oh my God. So many. I don't have that many. I
Yeah.
think I have like 15, 20, something like 20, 25, maybe. I realize it's each time I say a number, I'm like, no, it's probably more, but still, like 25. And yeah, 50. I also do have some of those like breakaway ones. We were on this street called Kapabahashi Street.
Okay.
It's the kitchen district in Japan,
Okay.
and you can just like every single store on that street is a kitchen-based thing. And they sold like a pack of 200 of those breakaway bamboo chopsticks
Okay.
for a super cheap price, and I was like, I have to bring those back, and I've never used them, but I have them. So
Yeah, that's the breakaway ones are the ones you get with like your Chinese cuisine, right? Like your meals.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so wait, you had chopsticks at your wedding with all of the engraving, and
Right.
now you have like 100 of those.
Right. Yeah. So basically, real quick, Galvus and I met at a sushi shop, or sushi bar,
Oh,
essentially. And so,
that's nice.
yeah, so like I was on Plenty of Fish, and then I turned and I looked over and we started talking. And next thing you know, he asked me for my phone number, and there we go. Hello, Lolo Frosty. Thank you so much for the follow.
It's cute. That's very nice.
Yeah. So okay. So you said your wife brought you back. So where did you meet your wife?
Oh, where did I meet my wife? Actually, just through it's super boring story, just through a friend. You
Th-
know, like
yeah.
a friend. I was like, I met them and we were sort of chatting, and they were like, "Oh, I work with this person. They're your age, and you should chat with them." I was like, "Nah, that's I don't trust you or anyone, and you're probably wrong." And we started talking like, what if you just chatted together online? She's in some other country right now anyway, because she did traveling for work.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, let's chat. We chatted. It clicked right away. End of story. We eventually met when she was back in town, and that was that. We like inseparable since.
Oh my gosh, I love that. How long have you been married?
A while.
A while. Some years, maybe more than, this many. Yeah, no, I get
Yeah.
it.
It's been a long time. It's been
Yeah,
a long
yeah.
time.
Okay, so let's talk about so
Like Chair Bear might have been born, I'd say.
that's
I,
fantastic.
I feel like I'm throwing Chair Bear. I'm sorry, Chair Bear. You're awesome. You're awesome.
Aw. Okay, so okay. So your your wife traveled around, and so you began to love to travel. Where have you been?
A few places. Where have I been? Some spots in the United States because I'm from Canada, so
Okay.
there's that. I've been to most of like the major cities in Canada, some of the southern states in the United States. So I'm not gonna list those off. I've been to Vegas, you know.
Okay, Vegas is
Um,
the mentionable one, absolutely.
yeah, California. Did some road trips in California as well, which is super fun. The Sequoia National Park, where
Oh
you get to the sequoia
wow,
trees,
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, but Italy, Greece, Japan. I always say this Japan 7 times. We went there a lot because there
Wow,
was a whole work thing, so we were there a lot. What else? Cancun. I went to Cancun when I was 18,
that's
so that was a
fantastic.
thing.
Yeah, I'm sure that was super fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're up in Canada. Yeah, I forget
Oh,
that.
France. Yeah, France 3 times.
Oh wow, okay, so that kind of goes hand in hand with Canada, though, doesn't it? The French quarters, or no?
Oh, sure. I guess it does to some degree, as they speak French in Quebec.
Right.
And I know some French. I actually that was one of the second time I went to France, that was the idea. I was like, I never learned French. I don't like it. They they've tried to teach me French since I was in school, and I just like have rejected it because school. I was like, no, if you're telling me in school to do it, I'm not doing it. So we did that, and then I was like, no, this is dumb. I should know more French. We're here in Canada, and everyone expects me to be able to speak French when they talk. They're like, oh, you're from Canada. You must know French. I was like, oui, je sais. So I was like, okay, we'll book a trip to France. I will get a friend, like a language exchange partner in French who wants to learn English. We'll talk every day. I'll try to like, I'll get a books and all that stuff. I'll get a coach. I did all of that. Then we went to France for a couple of weeks and just road tripped across northern France for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and so it was fun. I drove like on that trip, I drove like 2,200 kilometers. So miles is about half as much, I guess, maybe 1,000 miles or something like that on that trip.
Wow. So that is
Yeah.
a genius concept to have a friend to talk to who speaks another language. That's freaking brilliant.
Uh, I guess. Thank you.
No, I mean it is. We have all the different ways now that you can learn French or whatever language that you want to learn, but to really understand it, you talk to an actual person. That is just so cool.
I actually met them when we went up there too. They came from where they were and started talking to me. Like they were like, "Okay, well, let's meet up." So we met and we spent the weekend together. So the whole weekend we just did French.
Wow.
And like it kind of punishes your brain into submission because you want to switch to English, but you made that commitment. So your brain's like, all right, fine. We'll do
Right.
French.
Right.
We'll do French.
Fine. C'est la
Fine.
vie. Is that French? I don't know.
That is French. That is
Yay!
French. Nailed it.
Yay, yay, yay.
But
So as far as descent is concerned, what is, we've got, okay, let's start with this. This is going to be a fun way to ask this. Have you always been Canadian or did you move from somewhere else?
interesting question. I don't have an interesting answer. No, I was born in Canada,
Okay.
more Western Canada, and
Okay.
I moved more to the East Coast afterward, like when I was already basically adult age, let's say.
Okay.
But like 17 or something, I moved to the East Coast. But yeah, no, I've been Canadian this whole time. This whole time.
I've never not been Canadian.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that's the case, then what is your like backgrounds? Like if you were to do a 23 and me, what would be the
Okay.
background?
Really interesting question. What's my background? It's a mix of things.
Okay.
And recently my mom did that, like the DNA tests, and like a couple of my uncles did it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how accurate those things are. I'm very paranoid and skeptical, to be fair. Like
That's fair.
as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm like, okay, well, who are they getting this from? But they did it. Mostly I am Italian. Uh,
Yes.
really? Is that something
Yeah.
you like?
I'm about 70% Italian. I know I
Nice.
don't look it, but I promise you I am. Okay, so Italian. Okay.
I mean, look at what we got going on here.
Yeah,
Do you see
yeah.
this thing? It is
Okay.
a triangle, this nose. So, no, we're Italian.
Oh God, that's great. Okay, and the hair color too. I always feel like the black hair. You look like you can be from New Jersey. Let's just comment here on
All
that.
right, okay. I guess that's good.
That's not a bad thing at all. That's just definitely a style for sure.
I know New Jersey gets the piss taken out of it a lot.
Yeah.
People say a lot of things about it, but I think it's actually great, right? Isn't there a lot of like really nice stuff? There's the whole shoreline and a lot of beautiful places there, no?
Yeah, absolutely. So, basically, Jersey has like a ridiculous amount of history to it. I think we're the third state. I don't remember. I didn't pay attention in class, but basically, what's cool about it is if you, I don't know if you're watching the stream or not, but where I live was an hour from New York City and an hour and a half from Philadelphia.
So cool.
So I
Yeah.
had access to both of those things and then the shore as well. So I think the fact that you're on the East Coast too, and not obviously Jersey, but on the East Coast, I feel like people flock to the East Coast because it's it's the shoreline. Like you're by the shore for you guys, right? Or are you on a shore area?
Yeah, we are definitely.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, there's something about trying not to mention suggestive things on maps. Yeah, I mean it kind of looks like a penis. We'll say
I
the word.
saw it is the first thing I thought, and it's fine.
It's
It's totally
fine.
cool.
Yeah.
Also, you're awesome right now. Can you? I kind of believe how quickly New Jersey came on the screen.
Oh yeah. I
Amazing.
type pretty fast, so okay, so
Not to brag, not to
not
brag.
to brag, but my typing skills are, not subpar. Um,
Awesome.
okay, so food. We were talking about chopsticks. So
True. Yeah.
what kind of food are we talking about? As
What
far as
kind of
like
food are
your
you talking
top
about?
like three make the most in your house. It could be snacks, it could be whatever, but like what do we got?
Man, the way I actually eat. Okay, so I this is pretty boring because like I have struggled for a really long time with weight.
Okay.
Like I really have trouble. I gain weight so easily. And I have lost weight many, many times. And it just seems to kind of come back and I always have to tighten things up. So what I eat a lot of the time is like a salad
Okay.
with avocados and some kind of protein situation, and it's usually that kind of thing, or a vegetable and a protein. No really starchy carbohydrates, no sugar. I drink water, so it's maybe a bit boring. I like
I don't
to
think that's
talk.
boring.
Okay, okay, yeah. So you've done ketogenic diet before, I think too. So you understand this low carb kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, the sugar was actually easier than I thought to get off of.
Mm.
I don't drink soda, so I only drink water, or I will drink like a sugar-free energy drink because I'm a glutton for punishment. And then coffee. And those are like my three drinks that I drink. So
Awesome.
the keto diet, I understand the weight fluctuation, um, and I can relate. So I'm glad that you're doing things to help yourself instead of saying there's nothing I could do to help myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No,
So
absolutely.
good
There's
on
always
you.
something. I feel like as you get older too, it just sort of does become a bit difficult. So you always have to be tweaking. Tweaking what you can do. I've always loved to train. I love to exercise. This whole room is just an exercise room plus this office,
Oh
essentially.
wow. Okay.
Yeah, like everything that's over there in the dark and blurry is just workout gear. The floor behind me is rubber mats, so
Oh.
like there's a TV above, but like it's not plugged in. You know what I mean? Like I'm pretty crazy for stuff like that. I like to go hard on things if I can. It's usually what excites me is if we're going hard.
Yeah.
You probably noticed that I get pretty excited in the stream and all that. So yeah,
No,
it's the
excited
same
is
with other things.
good. Excited is good. We need more excited in the world for sure. And I love your chutzpah, right?
My chutzpah,
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah, 100%.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we talked about the ketogenic diet. Excuse me. So for those of you who don't know, keto is basically high fat, adequate protein, low carbohydrate. So we're talking about no sugars. We're talking about high protein. So for me, one of the meals that I would have is salami with fresh mozzarella, and then some sprinkled of some light balsamic, and then a side salad. And to me, that kind of covered the vegetables, the fats, and the no sugar and the fullness. That doesn't mean that that's a perfect lunch, but that's what I would do for keto. What is a meal besides like you're talking about? You'll do a meat and a low carb. What is like a meal that's special to you that you make?
That's special to me. A special meal. Probably okay, you know what? Probably something on the grill. Like I
Yes.
I like to do like charcoal grill with like wood chunks for smoke.
Nice.
Um yeah, so sorry everybody out there who's vegetarian vegan, but that's like what I like to do. So it could be a meat. Like I like to make actually a hamburger, and so I will make hamburger patties anyway, not the buns or whatever. And I will use like either oak or sugar maple charcoal, and then throw in some chunks of like pecan, cherry,
Wow.
uh, maybe mesquite or hickory. Not both at the same time though, because I find they clash.
Yeah.
But yeah, applewood maybe, and throw a bit of that in there for smoke. Close the thing, let it smoke, and then have those. So that would be special to me.
Yeah, and Books is right. You can make veggie burgers and you can make um vegetables with that sort of stuff, but I can tell you a hamburger with all of that sounds delicious. Okay, so the we've gotten to food.
We
Now
got to food.
I've got a lot of lists here of stuff that you like, and it makes me so happy because we have so many topics. My hardest part is transitions.
Oh no, we segue hard.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna start with Lost in Translation.
Oh sure,
Um,
yeah.
so what a great movie, and tell me why you chose this as something that is one of your favorites.
Okay, I can tell you a bunch of reasons. More than one. More
Okay,
than one reason. Okay. First reason is because okay, one of our dates, like our first dates within about 6 months of knowing each other, my wife was going to Japan,
okay.
okay, for work, and she was like, "Hey, we're gonna be in Japan for a bit. Do you want to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah. Give me the information." It's like, "Oh, we're leaving in like 3 days or something." So jumped on a plane. We went to Japan together. Had a great time. I came back, and that's around when this. Well, actually, this movie came out a couple of years before that, but I hadn't seen it until after that trip.
Okay.
And I was looking, going like, "Hey, we were in this neighborhood. We're in that neighborhood," and so that was like kind of the first thing. Not the reason I like it as a movie, but I think it caught me to some degree. Then the reason I like it as a movie is because I consider it essentially subtext to the movie. I hate it when people narrate too much. I hate exposition. You don't need it's a movie. It isn't a book. Even if it's a book, you're not supposed to write it that way. But anyway, it's a movie. We can see things happening. Show me stuff and then use the words like a regular person might talk. And I felt like they were able to do that in this movie. The first time they see each other is in an elevator. I'm not going to spoil anything or whatever. But you can look at them and go like, "Okay, these two there's something going on here."
Yeah.
And they barely look at each other. So the subtleties, they never say "I love you." They never say any of their problems directly. They just have conversations. And you can tell they're both in the same place. They just happen to be different ages. All that kind of stuff. I love it. All subtext, no direct talking, yet you can pick up on everything if you're, intuitive kind of person. So
Right.
I dig it.
That's awesome. Yeah, so the film explores themes of alienation and disconnection, cultural displacement in Japan. Let me see how well this movie did. I always love seeing what the like awards are, or let's see, marking theatrical run home movie, critical response, controversy, KKK.
Controversy.
Yeah, I'm curious. While not the topic of most reviews, Lost in Translation received some changes of Orientalist racial stereotyping and depiction of Japan.
Yes.
Okay. I guess if we're gonna, if we're gonna go there. I'm really curious how well this movie did. Give me the deets. Okay, here
It's
we go.
plausible. It was
Budget
it was
was
fairly realistic to being in
yeah,
Japan.
yeah. Budget 4 million, box office 118 million. So
That's pretty good.
this place made this movie made bank.
Yeah, they did well. They did well.
Okay, so Lost in Translation. So then we've got Grand Budapest Hotel, which is also a fantastic
Huh.
movie.
Yeah. Oh, so did you like Lost in Translation as well?
I saw it probably back in 2003. And if I saw it back in 2003, I'm going to date myself. I was 12 years old. So,
Okay, fair
so
enough.
there's a few movies that I saw like during that time that actually came out when I was actually seeing movies, but that doesn't mean that I totally remember them. Like this is worth a rewatch 100%. Like you reminded me of this movie that it exists.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
it's definitely on my list.
All
Um,
right, all right.
Grand Budapest Hotel, I actually did see.
Mm.
more recent, right? It's a more recent movie, 2014. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. So go ahead and give me the rundown as far as why this movie matters to you.
Why this movie matters to me is just it's masterful filmmaking. That's really, I think, the reason why I think this is good. I mean, it's Wes Anderson, which either you like that style or you don't,
Right.
generally. But I think this might be the best one that he did. Like just the beginning, we go from a certain point in time to another point in time to another point in time, all through showing. People don't have to tell you much. Then there actually is narration in this. We're inside somebody's head, but it makes sense to be there
Right.
because we've gone back in time 3 times. And then he's like, "Oh, I was walking through here, and I'm a writer, and it feels correct." We go back in time a bunch of times. I love the way that starts. Then there's the color, there's the cinematography, there's the
Yes.
dialogue. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
there's this dude's this the Gustav is this really like charming, classy person, but also super rough when it comes down to it. Like when he's with the clients and everything, he's super clean and cool and all that, and finally he'll say something like, "Oh, she was shaking like a shitting dog," and I'm sorry, I don't know if I can say that on here.
Yeah, you totally can say it. Cursing is 100
Okay.
fucking percent allowed.
Okay, I'm sorry. I should have asked first.
No, you're
But
fine.
yeah. And so
Okay.
yeah, I'm sorry I'm getting on a rant, but it's masterfully done. Masterfully
Yeah,
done.
rant is 100% what is the point of this. So you're yeah, Life Aquatic was another one. I feel like we're
It
just
was
naming
good.
Bill
Life
Murray
Aquatic.
movies, really. If we're just gonna go ahead and just name Bill Murray movies at this point, and yet all of them are masterful, which is just hilarious. Budget 25 million, made 173 million. I feel like it could have done better. I feel like this movie is completely underrated.
Mm.
And I did they make hold on. The
Yay, Wes Anderson. Sencha's with us. Sencha's with us.
yeah, cinematography, set design, which is beautiful, costumes, which are phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Wait, what? Bot, lucent, crown, one, two, three. What does that mean?
This is the person who he says she's shaking like a shitting dog about.
Oh, okay.
This costume, these two costumes. No, but I'm sorry, you were what are you reading?
Automatic Rob says lucent, crown, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine,
Oh,
10, 11.
looks like they're saying they're a bot.
Oh, yeah, Galvus is not a bot. Galvus is my husband.
No, but the Lucent Crown person is probably the bot.
Oh, I didn't see a bot at all.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I'll get off the topic. What I'm trying to figure out though is the forget that critical response, blah blah blah, music. But I didn't have the music. There's a song called "The Budapest," and I'm trying
Oh.
to remember if it came from this movie, but I maybe not. Um,
Um,
but it's a good movie.
Yeah, so I think that's what it is. Great acting, great dialogue, great cinematography, great directing, great writing. I
Yeah,
mean, what do you want? Action,
absolutely.
comedy, love stories, all of it. Intrigue, mystery, Jeff Goldblum, everything's in it.
Jeff Goldblum, 100%. Okay, so let's move quickly, not quickly, at a standard pace, perhaps, over to comics.
Medium pace.
Medium pace, a stroll, if you will. Over to some comics. So, obviously, if you haven't seen Ragged World's podcast, or, well, you wouldn't see a podcast, you would hear a podcast. But if you haven't checked out Ragged World in every way, shape, and form, he does a lot with comics and a lot with 1950s videos, which are like puberty videos and stuff, which is just disturbing. But they're great. They're great to watch. And so, going into the topic of comics, I'm going to be very under lack of knowledge. You're going to teach me some stuff here today.
Sure, great. Maybe I know something. I don't know.
You you know something, I promise. Lone Wolf and Cub. So it's a manga.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
It's an older comic. I think it came out in the seven. Yep, there you go. See, we have Wiki Wednesday. It came out in
Exactly.
1970. So Lone Wolf and Cub, I don't know. Does anybody maybe we can like search our way back. Has anybody ever seen Kill Bill?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. At the end of Kill Bill Volume 2, she watches a movie with her daughter and essentially it's called Shogun Assassin. Now this is the kind of like edited and dubbed over version of the Lone Wolf and Cub black and white TV series from Japan. And Shogun Assassin is what they called it here and stuff like that. So that's a start. Then in reality, okay, there's the black and white TV show, and then of course there's the manga, right?
Right.
And the manga is about this executioner from the Tokugawa era,
Okay.
which is like around the 1600s, I'd say, in Japan, or 1700s maybe. Okay, there you go. Tokugawa shogunate in the 1700s. There you go.
Yep.
So and the Tokugawa shogunate is like people who run everything. And so he's the executioner. When somebody does something they shouldn't do and he has to cut their head off, this guy's cut the heads off tons and tons of people. He's this super guy, right? They decide he's like too powerful. They need somebody to set up. And so they go to kill him. But actually, they kill his wife.
Oh no.
And they leave his son. He comes back. The son is a baby. They go off on a journey to get revenge. They're walking the demon road, essentially. They're saying, we are animals now. We do whatever we can do to survive and to get revenge for this situation. And we're taking down the Yagyu, which were a classic, they were political figures. I actually have a book from Yagyu Munenori, who was the sword master of the shogunate, of the Tokugawa shogunate. But anyway, that's going off on topic. So it's about this sword guy, his son, and they have this like indomitable spirit that everything they run into, every problem they get into, no matter how dire it is, they find some way out of it. They find some way out of it. They find some way to win. It should be impossible, and it happens again and again and again. And yet they find a new way to tell this story throughout the I have 12 volumes that are about 500 pages each.
Wow.
And it's just interesting. A lot of stuff about mind and spirit and strength of will and all that kind of stuff. Even the child, the fact that there's the kid is the interesting thing, because he's not the liability you think he would be, because he is also has like the samurai spirit.
Okay.
So when he gets into trouble or whatever, like he has to find his way out of it too. And his dad's like, okay, I'm not coming to save you if you're in this much trouble or whatever. You're going to have to figure things out. And so it's this really harsh world they live in. And I loved it. I felt like even the enemies, they started to feel like something for this character. They hate him, but they love him because he's so samurai, basically. He's so much samurai. He's more samurai than all the samurai. So
Okay.
that's the deal.
I
Yeah.
like this part where it says he's given a choice of ball or a sword. If he chose the ball, his father would kill him. However, the child crawls towards the sword.
Correct.
That's really, really interesting. And very I can't find the word. It's a good plot for the story. Like it's a good starting point. Like he didn't choose. What happened if he would have chose the ball? Right? Nothing. We wouldn't get a story. So the fact that he chose the sword, we end up getting this story, this really in-depth, fantastic story that you're telling me. And I think that's a great jumping off point. So
The scene is really, really fun too, because he says, I know you're so young that you probably can't even really understand what I'm saying right now. But one way or the other, I have to give you the choice, because this is going to be the worst, hardest, most painful life that we can have. And you'd probably be better off not choosing to come with me.
right.
So I'm going to place these two things. If you choose the ball, that will be the end of this. And you will probably be saved a lot of suffering. Or you're going to take the hard road, and this is going to be tough if you come towards that. And like, I like the idea, like, I know you don't know what this means yet because you can't talk and you don't understand.
Yeah.
But you've been put in this position just like I've been put in this position, and we're going to have to deal with it together or not, you know?
This is also heartbreaking. I agree, books, but I think this is a fantastic, fantastic manga. That's a really great concept. I'm glad you brought it up.
Oh,
Okay, so Low by Rick Remember. Let's see what that is.
yeah. Remender. I might have spelled it.
Remender.
Might have spelled it wrong because it tends to get auto corrected and stuff because it's remender
Oh wait, let
instead
me
of
pull up
remember. Yeah, yeah,
Low comic. It's a comic, yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Low.
okay.
That's Rick Remender, one of the best comic book writers there is. And
Awesome.
not this, people don't talk about this one that much. I'm not gonna say that it's like, oh, this is the greatest comic ever. The artist is Greg Ticini. I don't know if you see the artwork there, but I
Yeah.
love it. The art style is so good, and I'm not gonna say the story's the greatest necessarily, but for me, it touched me on some point because it has a tone. It has this like melancholy tone. Again, this is a sad story too. I won't get into details because books I think is gonna be
Just cry.
you're gonna be in a depression. But it has a tone, and it's a melancholy tone where, but the character has a mindset that they also never give up. So there's like a bit of a pattern here.
Hmm.
I love the like, hey, you're going through the worst of the worst, but they believe that if they just keep going, things will work out no matter what circumstance has befallen them essentially. And there's the whole setting is an interesting thing there. The sun is expanding. We're at the point in Earth's history where or Earth's future, I should say, where the sun is getting bigger and bigger now because it's going to eventually expand because that's what happens to suns. They expand and burn out kind of thing.
Right, right.
It's in the expansion phase. Everyone lives underwater. They're looking for a way out of this, and most people have given up. And it's like, look, there's nothing we can do. The sun's gonna blow up. That's that. There's no. They've been sending out satellites to different planets for millions of years. It's not working. They haven't found anything ever. Most of the satellites don't even return. So it was
Wow.
troublesome.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to find a way through this. It's like, okay, there is no hope. Now be positive anyway. So there was a kind of an interesting tone there, and through being positive, she's the main character is this woman who consistently gets punished essentially for her positivity. So yeah, and again, I don't know how I could explain it because it's a tone.
Yeah.
It's a feeling, it's a vibe, it's a feeling that I connected with, and it doesn't even the things I've said. It's not even the reason why it's good. It's actually just the tone that I love so much. So I wanted to say this. And Greg Ticini, awesome, 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 awesome artist.
Yeah.
Uh, it's just he can almost like not draw the face at all and just do like a shape, and it's still good. So yeah,
Yeah, that looks sick. And again, I love that you have that tone. I think that the never give up, never surrender, find the positive light in it all kind of thing. Um,
nice.
I think that's
Galaxy Quest.
yeah, yeah. I think that's contagious though. And I'm glad that you have that outlook as
I
often
don't
as
know
you
if I
do.
have it. I know in the book she had it.
The um, yeah, I mean, but if you're finding that tone, I feel like if you're connecting with it,
Hmm.
then you have that sense of either yearn to be it or actually portray it. And
That's an
seeing
interesting
it,
point.
seeing in you, I see the positivity in you all the time. You just seem like a
Oh,
happy person, whether you're not. You seem like a happy person, and so it's contagious. And
wow.
so
Wow,
definitely, yeah.
what a compliment. Thank you so much, the Rusty Panda.
Yes, of course. Um,
Wow. I know, the other thing about it that I really liked was that yeah, things because I can relate to that and I think everybody can probably relate to that is that things yeah, they don't always go great. You know? It doesn't go exactly the way you want and it doesn't matter sometimes how hard you tried. It doesn't go the way you want, and I do like the idea of saying, "Okay, that's the reality. I'm going to keep going forward."
yeah,
It doesn't mean you have to be happy or pretend that you're happy about it. It doesn't mean you can't be disappointed or devastated even.
right.
But I do think it is good to say, okay, you know what? This is the reality I'm in, and it's like the card you work with the cards you've been dealt. I guess is what I'm saying, and I like that too.
Pardon my cat. Go, Ruby. No.
Oh no, the cat is welcome.
The cat is welcome. Okay, so we're
I like
talking.
cats. I'm a cat person.
Are you? I have
Yeah.
three, so
Okay, so you may be as well.
yeah, I might be a cat person. Okay, so let's talk about Conan here.
Yeah.
Let's see. The sword. Okay, so this is like Conan the Conan like the movie.
Yeah, like that movie. Yeah, this is the Savage Sword of Conan. I think it was just Conan the Barbarian originally, and when it became Dark Horse, which is a comic book publisher,
Mm-hmm.
they changed it to the Savage Sword of Conan so that it would seem kind of like new titles. But
Okay.
it's basically the start of the Conan comics all the way to the end of them. Again, 1974,
Mm-hmm.
and a similar reasoning. Conan is just like awesome, basically.
I
The thing I
agree.
was surprised, oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
did
I
you?
like playing Conan. That's the difference. Is that the game Conan,
Yeah.
we play a lot of, and I really enjoyed the world in which it is.
Oh, Alchemy said, I love anime and manga for that attitude. Sorry if I missed that, man. Yeah, very cool. I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine. Book says.
But yeah,
Oh, okay.
so
Yeah. You
so
like the game Conan. Okay, that's
yes,
cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I've dabbled into Conan lore, but I really just like the art, like the art styles, the gameplay, and overall the storyline. So,
Okay.
tell me about the storyline for Savage Sword, because I only know the one for the video game.
Okay. Well, this one, okay, Savage Sword has, I have 22 volumes of it. Again, they're all around somewhere between 200 and 300 pages, right? So there's a lot of storylines.
Mm-hmm.
But the general gist is like you will get bored at some point if you try to read them all, just to be fair, because it is there's Conan, there's some kind of regular human enemy, like some kind of army or tribe or something like that that is against him. There is a some sort of a castle or cave or structure, and there is some kind of wizard and some kind of monster, and there's a woman whose clothes they just can't stay on.
Yep.
The monster burned my clothes off. So that's Savage Sword of Conan, and then Conan just being awesome. And the thing that I liked about it is like yes, he's the greatest warrior, so you've got the physical stuff. The thing what surprised me was he's smart. Like the reason he wins is not because he can kill most people. It helps, but it's that he is smarter than most everybody else. He's got some kind of scheme. He doesn't mind using trickery, and I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like and then the bravery is there. He doesn't want to do stupid strategies a lot of times,
Mm-hmm.
unless he absolutely has to face these guys head on or something. He will, and generally he'll win. But yeah, what I liked was that he ends up being smart a lot of the time. But you will eventually be like, okay, is there another wizard and another monster?
At least there's boobs.
Yeah, to
That's
some
what it
degree,
came
to some
down
degree.
to. Um,
It kept me going. It kept
yeah,
me going.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, even in the video game, there you can have a naked mode or not naked mode. So you could literally just, and then of course you could enhance yourself in any way, endow yourself in any way, shape, or form. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, yeah, they definitely kept that true.
What mode did you play?
I played with my clothes on, but usually my friends played with their clothes off because it was funnier.
It is
Um,
funnier.
yeah, yeah, they didn't dow themselves and then jump around. And I'm like, please stop running your dick in my face. Like, I just don't want to see this.
That's amazing.
That's,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but like I play Saints Row the third.
Okay.
Right now I'm playing it right now on stream
Okay.
and on Mondays. And that's the thing. I have never had my character wear clothes. You can take the clothes off. There's pixelation around the areas, but at the same time, I'm like, no. Every time I see a cutscene, everyone else is clothed and this guy's not wearing any clothes and everyone's just cool. It makes me laugh forever. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it's so funny. Tell me about Saints Row. Why do you like playing it?
It's wacky, like, cause I've rarely had that much time in my adult life to play games,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how this one caught me. I think I saw someone playing it on YouTube or something, and I started to play it because it just seems so wacky. It's like a 15 different types of action movies just crammed into one game.
Okay.
And yeah, like it's the very first thing that happens, you're robbing a bank. Turns out that it's another huge crime syndicate's bank that they own, and they grab you. They get you on some plane. They're about to throw you out the back. You kick their ass. You all go flying out. You take a parachute from somebody. You catch your friend who doesn't have a parachute. They try to fly the plane into you. You drop your friend. You kill everybody in the plane a second time. Grab a new parachute, and you're out. You know, like I'm like, this is the first thing that happens in this game. Oh, like it's wacky. It's silly. There are a lot of movie references in it. So I think that's what it was. You know, that's just what it
Yeah.
was.
They aim to improve on the series by giving the game a coherent tone and founded in films such as Hot Fuzz and the game's signature sex toy bat. What is a sex toy bat? I'm not going to
It's
click on the
called
word sex toy, but
Okay, it's called the Penetrator,
of
and
course.
this is this big purple bat. Uh, it flops around.
Yeah,
You get it. I don't
yeah,
know. Like, I
yeah.
don't know. It's a
Yeah.
dildo bat. It's a dildo
Okay.
bat.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
that
deal.
that sounds like a lot of fun.
It's so silly. It's so silly.
It sounds again, you had me at dildo bat, so
That was like the last thing I said.
I know, but that really hooked me right there. Sold me
You're
for the
like
game.
action, boring. You're like slapstick, whatever. Dildo bat, you
Dildo
say?
bat, you say? Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go into music. So you said you're
All right.
recently into synthwave and retrowave.
Yeah.
So, do you have any? Do you want me to look up synthwave, or do you have any bands and stuff that you're or artists that you're currently looking into?
Well, actually, Kraken Not Stirred all. Since we're here on Twitch, Kraken Not Stirred suggested a raid target who was named Chroma Punk. I think it's Chroma_Punk, and they play a lot of different artists. On my stream I have this person who's Carl Casey from White Bat Audio,
Okay.
so that might be easier to find if you're like searching. And I think the Carl is a K and the Casey is a C. So Carl Casey, White Bat Audio. And I play their stuff on my stream all the time, because they make free to use stream safe and YouTube safe synthwave. But I don't know if there's like a specific person I'm into. There's a few, but synthwave in itself, I was thinking about it when I told you this, because it's not like this is not music I've been listening to my whole life or something. At least
Right.
so I thought. You know, I like every kind of music. I like every genre. When it's music, it's like, well, if it's good, I like it.
Right.
If I like it, I like it, I guess. Even if it's good, what does even that mean? So, so synthwave though is newer, so that's why I mentioned it, because I realized it's probably not new. When I'm listening to synthwave, I was like, why do I connect with this so much? Kraken was like, raid this guy, and I sat there for like the rest of the night bobbing my head to synthwave, wasting my time. you know? But I was having such a good time. And I'm like, why do I like this? Every song is kind of the same,
Yeah.
but I'm digging it. And then I realized the years as a child playing games like Double Dragon, Streets of Rage, Street Fighter 2, or all these old games that had MIDI soundtracks. They were usually beat 'em ups or fighting games,
Hmm.
and that was very close to the synthwave structure, I would say. Something like
Interesting.
like, and it would be that, and you just beat people up. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like I must have gotten this. Must be some kind of nostalgia for me, and that's why. So I figured that's what I wanted to tell you. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. I
Yeah.
feel like Saints Row is very similar to that gameplay, that specific Grand Theft Auto, by the way.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto is a game.
What
It's the
about you? What kind of music are you into? Like, what is there something that's catching your interests right now? Are you big into music, or are you like whatever's on?
um
How are you with music?
no, no, I'm music is my life. I I write music, I play music, I listen to music. We listen to, when I say we, because we share a Spotify account, um, but we listen to a lot of indie rock. That's basically you can have Mumford and Sons, and you could have Group Love, and a whole bunch of bands that are out on the radio right now. But even stuff that's just completely underneath the rug. So like Shovels and Rope is one of them, and that's very blues, bluegrassy. Um,
Oh, nice.
so yeah, that's basically where I live right now in that little bubble. But I mean, I
Bluegrass. Oh
come from the
no.
land of Rush, Journey, Kansas, Genesis. I'm seeing the 50th anniversary of Kansas coming up in July. I'm stoked about it.
Kansas.
Yep.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I have the wide range of everything. So yeah, good question.
Oh wow, that's so amazing. Yeah, and I know you've been doing some of your own originals and stuff on stream too, so that's super cool. Congratulations
Thank
for that.
you. Thank you. But let's turn back to you because you'll be
Okay.
interviewing me at some point. So let's not give it
Oh,
all
true.
away.
You're right. You're right. Sorry, I was just curious. I was curious.
No, I appreciate it. Okay, so you said you love lyrics, which is interesting because you told me that you don't really like movies that have a lot of talking, like as far as like figuring out the self. So I'm interested to see why lyrics are
Well,
the thing.
okay. Well, let me clarify that. I love talking in movies. I just don't like exposition,
Got it. Okay, I'm with you.
right? Like it's like I'll give you an example. There's a lot of times action movies and stuff do this. Like there was one of the Terminator movies that wasn't Terminator 2 or 1.
Right, that's fair.
I can't remember which one. They're running for a plane and like I used to train on this when I was with my father as a child. And then they get in the plane, so now we know how come she can fly the plane. I'm like, okay, really? You got to tell me your whole back, or something like this. The movie starts where some girl's getting driven to school or something, and she's like, "Well, I'm Jenny. My parents are superheroes, and I go to superhero high school." I'm like, okay, I could have guessed all that stuff from just a scene.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm with you. I agree with
So
that. Yeah.
dialogue, I love. Good dialogue,
Good.
love it.
Have you ever seen the movie Stranger Than Fiction?
Yes, that's Kaufman, right?
It's Will Ferrell in a serious role.
Oh no,
Um,
sorry. I was thinking adaptation. Yes, Will Ferrell, the novelist, is writing and things are happening to him in real life, right?
yes, absolutely.
Got it. Got it. I've seen
Um,
it.
my classic example: the voiceovers in the studio added to Blade Runner for the theatrical release because they figured regular audiences wouldn't get it otherwise.
Infozar's on top of it. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
that's the rule in movies. Show don't tell. I agree. Without exposition, it's lazy writing. So I'm guessing the Rick isn't a fan of Death Note.
I liked okay, this is different though, right? This is like do you mean Death Note the anime series and manga? Now, and it's this is kind of a Japanese style. I liked Death Note up to a certain season. Then it started to become kind of repetitive. I think maybe season 3, but I did watch season 1 and season 2 of Death Note and they were very good. It was like tense, the things that were happening. And this is the thing. Sometimes these things have to happen inside the character's head. I write almost tons of that stuff in comic books. It's happening in their head. When I write a comic book, I write their thoughts, I write all that sort of stuff. But that is a comic book style. And as long as you're not going, it just depends on what you write, right? It's not exactly like no narration is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it shouldn't be bland exposition.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
things that could, if you can switch it to just showing it in a scene, great. But if this is about the Death Note's about a genius or a couple of geniuses actually, but a genius person who finds life so easy because they're a genius. Like they can finish their homework in 2 seconds. They get 100% on everything. They're great at, every activity they do. Nobody's challenging them in any way. And so in order for us to kind of know what they're feeling, they have to say it inside their head. So
Got
we
it.
hear what they're saying. That is different to me than that was too much. But did it have too much over narration? Probably, because anime is like that. Like, oh no, what will I do? He's gonna
Right,
catch me,
right,
and it's like,
right.
okay, yeah.
Okay. So tell me about lyrics then. So what you were talking about,
Sorry.
no, I want you to go on rants. Rants are important. So
Okay,
definitely go on rants. But I'll always reel you back just a little bit. Um,
thank you.
yeah,
You're
yeah.
great at this, by the way. You're a
Oh,
really good interviewer.
oh,
I
thank
love
you.
being on this show right now.
Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you so much. Okay, so give me a song whose lyrics kind of inspired you. And you don't have to pick just one song, like that's your favorite. Just a song whose lyrics are like, damn, those are good friggin' lyrics.
Okay, for good freaking lyrics, there's a song from Billy Joel called Vienna or Vienna Waits for You. I like that one. It's just there's so much in it. I don't know if you know that one. It's like you crazy child, you're so ambitious for a juvenile. That one. I don't know.
It's a long
You're
one,
so
isn't it? No,
smart.
that's
Yeah,
a it's not too long.
maybe. It's pretty good. Why are you still so afraid? That one. Just a lot of good. Like, it's not a lot of people who can put that many words and say kind of direct things and have it be good.
Hmm.
So I think those lyrics are great. And I'll take it in a different direction too. One of the weird things about me with lyrics is I'll often like the delivery of the lyric in some way.
Hmm.
Like, I was singing People Are Strange earlier on my stream, and there's a part where Jim Morrison goes, "All right, yeah," right?
Yeah,
And that's my favorite part of the song.
absolutely.
So just like I know that's maybe not a lyric, but the
No, but
lyric is
it's
all
said
right,
it's
yeah.
said with intention.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes there's pop singers that are just like, ooh, yeah, or they'll be like, ooh, 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 and you just want to be like, shut the fuck up. But there are different lyricists or whatever that have like significant like, well, right, you know what I'm saying, and they'll break into
Yeah.
that, and so that intentional lyrics are so important. So
That reminded me of the opening song, like the theme song for a wrestler called The Big Show,
okay.
who was around in, I don't know, the 90s, I guess, or 2000s. He's a 7 foot tall giant guy. It was like 500 pounds. And the song would be that. It'd be like, well, it would start that way. You know?
Uh,
Yeah, that's the big.
yeah,
Did he?
WWE. He's
Yeah,
it's a TV show.
he had a TV show called The Big Show Show.
Yeah, yeah, he
World's
did.
biggest dad, probably.
Yeah, 9 episodes on Netflix
Okay, so then, okay.
in 2020.
Oh, okay. Well, hey,
You know, got to do what you got to do to make money.
good for him. But I found they were able to use that theme song to effect. And I haven't watched wrestling in a zillion years, unfortunately. I'm sorry if everybody likes wrestling or whatnot. But when I was a kid, I liked it. But at this point, it's the same thing kind of over and over.
Yeah.
But they would use that to great effect. When you heard that, well, a lot of times two dudes would be arguing about something, or they'd have some kind of drama happening, and
Right.
then it's like, okay, here comes the showstopper, this dude who's like going to definitely beat the crap out of you guys because he's so much bigger, is coming, and
Son of a
instantly with
fuck.
the well, you know.
Yeah.
You hear well, you're like, oh, shit's it's over. It's over for you, and you get excited.
Absolutely. I'm going to go back real quick. Sencha said, I'm going to grab this pen with my fingers and position it so I can touch the type to the paper, and then I'm going to move it to ink so it forms my name.
He's so right. He's so right. He's
And
right. He's
then
right.
Vienna was played in 13 going on 30, which apparently was very emotional.
Yeah.
And Morrison's, yeah, is like how people do Elvisisms. Well,
Whirl.
whirl. The crewmate just scared the hell out of me, bursting into my room singing well because he was thinking about the big show and y'all mentioned it. I nearly fell off my chair. Oh, sorry, I forgot the mwahaha, Sencha. All right, I'm caught up on chat. This is about Ragged World. Let's keep going. All right,
Oh, chat. We love chat. We
we love
love chat.
chat. Chat is an awesome addition to Wiki Wednesday, in my opinion. That's why I put it on.
Addition.
No, I'm serious. That's why I put it on the screen. is because
Okay.
I want it, especially when I post it to YouTube. Like I want it to be seen. I want it to be a part of Wiki Wednesday. But also, again, this is about you.
Oh, thank you for making it about me.
Okay, so self improvement books. This was an interesting one that popped up, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so extreme ownership, help book, self help book.
Yeah. I like those books. I like those books. I don't read as many now. You tend to get the same sort of message, but sometimes you need it in your brain when things are not as good as you'd like them to be, or maybe your mind is traveling off in some direction you don't want it to.
Extreme ownership, how U.S. Navy SEALs led and win. Is that
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah. Lead and win, I think in
Lead
this
and win, my
case.
bad.
Yeah, yeah. It's the
Um,
same. That's a classic one. He's got a couple like this. There's a dude named Jocko Willink who I think has a podcast as well. But yeah, it's different than what you would think because like, oh, Navy SEALs, that's going to be hardcore and all that, and it is because these guys spent time in Ramadi in Iraq, and they also what happened was he retired, and him and his friends his teammates, because they're part of the teams, right? And they created a company like, what am I trying to say? They created a company that helps other companies turn their companies around, essentially. You know, like consultants, I guess. They became business consultants. There you go.
okay.
Business. I found it. I got
You
there.
did it.
I did it. Business consultants. So what they do in this book is like, okay, here's our situations that we had in the military under, gunfire and under horrible situations. And then here's that same basic situation that happened in businesses that we had to change. And then this is sort of how we look at it and how we would sort of go through this. And you would think that the whole thing is, again, it's Navy SEALs military. You're thinking it's going to be hardcore and you do what you're told or whatever, but that's not the direction this guy comes from. It's kind of like you have to do what actually works,
Yeah.
and people don't love getting bossed around. People don't love not being a part of things. So that's where the ownership comes in.
Hmm.
He's like, if you're a leader, you got to take ownership for how things are going, but also you have to give ownership to the people who are working with you, who you're leading. You lead down the chain, you got to give ownership to the people above you too. Lead up the chain. If you don't think your bosses are doing a good job, well, how are you helping? How are you changing that? How are you affecting that? How are you leading them in a direction that might work? And are you really just making excuses for your kind of your behavior, or look at yourself first and then maybe start making some changes. So I like the way that was. Like I wasn't expecting that from a Navy SEAL. They was just gonna be like, tough enough, Chief. But it wasn't that. No.
I like that. I like that it's inspiring enough to you, and I like that it has a good message. I think that
Or yeah.
message is a solid one.
I think
Um,
for me too, just hearing them talk about, their war stories as well, and some of their friends die, and it's like, okay, I'm not going through that. So sometimes it is nice to hear, like, I know it's like, okay, your problems are important to you, and your reality is what you are, but sometimes getting out of that and being like, oh yeah, these guys found a way to get through that. So maybe I can find a way to get through this. Very basic and simple thoughts, but I find it does help.
yeah, yeah, 100%. And I don't read as much as anyone. I don't really read at all. But
I
let's
didn't know
just
where that was going.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's me trying to say like, hey, I need to read more, but I don't really. I
You
read
can listen. You can listen to some of these books though,
I
right?
have such high attention deficit disorder that
Oh.
doing anything for long periods of time, for if I did 15-minute sprints, I could probably do it. Like I really
Huh?
could. Like that's something to look
That's a
forward
way.
to. That's a goal to give myself. Um,
Oh.
but anything more than that, and it's just like if I'm listening, I'm playing a video game. Like I can't even play video games for too long. I have to switch it up.
Makes
So
sense.
yeah,
Well, you do you, whatever works for you.
yeah. 15-minute Pomodoro streams for reading.
There you go. We're gonna have some Pomodoro streams from the Rusty Panda. You heard
Yeah,
it here first.
short story anthologies. Exactly. Okay, so Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I've heard of this one. Tell me what this one means to you.
Well, this is a classic. It's definitely another business based book, but it ends up being, about personal stuff, of course, as well. As there's a lot to it. I think what connected with me on this one was I did feel like the habits were actually good, and it was more thought processes than anything else. Like there's one in there that's begin with the end in mind, which sounds so simple, but a lot of times it's just not what it is. There's one in there, make sure your ladder is on the right wall, you
Right.
know? Sharpen the saw is another one where it's like, okay, you can do a lot, but if you keep chopping at the tree with the saw or the axe and it's dull, might take you longer than if you just took the time out, stop chopping for a second, sharpen that saw, which for yourself that could mean a lot of different things, whatever's burning you out or making you confused or getting you into a disarray or disorganization, you might need to stop producing just for a second and just sharpen things up, like, which I think is, these are hard things to do a lot of times, so that's it. And like, yeah, you have to decide, is your ladder on the right wall? Do you actually want to be on the top of this building, or was it the building across the street you were trying to get onto the top of? Did you want this? Begin with the end in mind. What are we trying to aim for here? And a lot of times it just doesn't happen. It's not natural for some reason. You just like, I want to do it, and then you start and it's a mess and you wonder why.
Right, right. Okay, so shortcuts make long delays. I guess that's one of the seven things. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, yeah, for
And
sure.
then I need Rick to talk to my coworkers, says Sencha. Stop and
Oh,
just do it
wow.
right for once. Absolutely.
Absolutely. The shortcuts thing. It's very true. That's right. Very true. Shortcuts make for longer delays. A lot of times it's never a shortcut. It's just you're just doing it some weird way that doesn't work, and then you have to start over from the beginning because the whole thing's a mess. And I don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
No, no, I think that's great. And, you
I
know,
liked this too. You see what's on the screen there was interdependence.
yes.
Um, that I thought was interesting because another thing that I like a lot, if you were to ask me, is the Samurai no Kokoro,
Hmm.
or Samurai no Kokoro, I think is what it is. And they talk about one of those precepts is don't depend on anyone, which sounds a little harsh, but
No, I get it.
this would make a little bit more sense. Like there's a difference between dependence, independence, and interdependence. And they talk about that in this book, where interdependence is working like two independent people working together. It's like me and you. We both have awesome streams and we both have awesome interview shows and we're working together,
Right.
right? You don't need me for your stream, really. I don't need you for my stream, really. But we get together and it's a freaking firework festival.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Is that stupid?
No, that was a great analogy. It works for me 100%.
Okay. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
so
I take
no.
it back. I take it
What?
all back. No,
Why?
I'm,
Okay.
I'm
Don't
just being
take it
silly.
back. Baby, come back. Okay, so
You can blame it all on me. I was
it's wrong.
wrong,
And I
and I
just
just
can't
can't
live
live
without
without.
you.
Nice.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so
So
it's the
okay,
perception
that's it.
of convenience, more effort in convincing oneself than the effort. Clip it real quick. No, I'm not going to clip that. So he can't deny it. Baby, come
No, it's good.
back. Okay, so, and then immovable wisdom.
Movable Wisdom's more spiritual book because it's a Zen Buddhist book,
Okay.
but it was one that sort of shifted my perception for some reason. I don't know really if it was necessarily what was written, but the way it was written. Um, I like some Zen books, but this one's called The Art of Zen Strategy as well, was the
Mm-hmm.
subtext. Because this guy was Takwon Soho. He had a few different names, but I know him as Takwon Soho.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the he was like the Zen teacher again to I think the Tokugawa Ieyasu. So that was the main top guy in the Tokugawa shogunate during samurai times. And so he's a Zen Buddhist, and he was also teaching these swordsmen and shogun and samurai about Zen Buddhism, and it's just somehow just his way of relating to life and relating to these people and seemingly having no fear of things, like no fear of telling the truth, no fear of facing danger, no fear of any of this kind. It just seemed like he'd reached something. And then the writing is a little, it's a little spacey, if you want to put it that way.
Hmm.
I don't know if it would connect with everybody, but I felt like as I read it, I felt my brain stopping. Like I would be reading and like I wouldn't be thinking about things anymore. It was affecting me in some way when I first read it. My brain was just stopping. And hey, Chan the Magic Man,
Hey,
I see you there.
Chan.
So yeah, and again, this is another tone kind of thing, I think, and maybe it was a place, a time. I like, I like martial arts and swordsmanship, but also this was just the Buddhist idea of strategy and swordsmanship and living in the world kind of thing from an older perspective, and I like that.
Yeah, Rob said that this was the first true transformational book he's read.
Yeah, there you go.
That's awesome. I only the only books that I really read that were inspirational was the Celestine Prophecy
Oh, I know that book.
and The Way of the Peaceful Warrior.
Awesome books. And
Yeah.
Celestine Prophecy was interesting too, right?
Yeah, that was
Uh,
a very interesting one.
because that's a fictional book, but there's a lot of like, being present and sort of stuff like that. So what was it about that one that got you?
So this one is actually fiction, and then The Way of the Peaceful Warrior I think was based off a true story.
Hmm.
But this one has, what is it? There's several. Let me see. There's several like insights or something. It's been a long time since I've read this.
Yeah, me too. It's
Um,
been a really long time. It came out a while back.
yeah, but I just remember towards the end with the. I'm not going to spoil it, but I just remember if you watch the movie, there's a movie on it as well.
Okay.
And if you watch the movie, they don't capture it as well as they could, but they really go into the concept of being present and like
Hmm.
what that could do for you in regards to connecting with the universe. And so like how you see things glow when you focus on it enough times because you're watching the aura of it and that concept. And so I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and it's funny because I saw this exact color green and I got goosebumps. I was like, man, it's been a while since I've seen this book. Like, but then the way the Peaceful Warrior hit me, like I read that. That's the only book I've ever read twice. Um,
Wow.
yeah, I know, big deal. Yeah, spoiler alert: the guy
No,
takes the
no.
thing to the place and does the stuff to kill that one guy. Not quite Sencha. This might be the other book you're thinking of.
Oh, that is awesome. And yeah, the presence thing is a whole thing. Like, isn't that seems to be ubiquitous across all like whatever. Oh, if you want to put spiritual techniques or something like that, it always seems to be something to do with presence. I know that there's the story. I'm not sure of the validity of some of these stories, but like the Takwon Soho, one of his stories was that when he passed away, he asked for, I don't want you guys to do anything. I don't want the grave marker. I don't want you to do prayers. I don't want you to cry. I don't want any of that. And his whole thing was like it's his last teaching in a way was like, okay, yesterday I was here. Today I'm not here, and you got to live life in this reality when I'm not here. And
Yeah.
so stop looking to me, stop looking for, things from me. You live yourself and I'm gone. I'm gone. I'm not part of this anymore. And it's maybe a little harsh.
Yeah.
I think they put a giant rock where he was buried anyway because they couldn't
Right.
do
They
it.
could not. Yeah.
And I think his last calligraphy was Dream as well, where it was just like this life is not so serious as much as you'd want to think it is, and it's like this is all a dream to some extent, which I thought was kind of interesting as well. So anyway,
No, yeah. So there's a guy called Bo Burnham. I don't know if you know who he is.
yeah, yeah, comedian,
Yeah, comedian and artist as far as musical artist.
musical
And
comedian too. Yeah,
right, and one of the things he does is this song where he's like, um, you look at all this stuff and this isn't heaven, this is heaven. But if no, like this all sucks. But if you look, this stop looking up to God. Okay, let me say this correctly. Stop looking up to God. God's not going to help you. If you notice, this is heaven. This is the heaven that you should be living in. This is the heaven that you should be appreciating. And it's words from the viewpoint of God. That's the name of the song. And
Oh.
so it's at first you're like, oh my God, this is gonna piss off so many people. But then he goes into the fact of like, well, this is heaven. Like, just live your life the way that it would be if we all just connect the right way. He's also a wordist. He's a very good wordist. um, but okay,
Oh, that's cool.
so Celestine
That's cool.
Prophecy, Way of the Peaceful Warrior. We went into Seven Habits. We went into Immovable Wisdom. Let's talk about why you wanted to talk about kitchen knives.
Kitchen knives.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was objects. I thought, there's objects I like. There's chopsticks, knives in general, but I got into kitchen knives because of Japan, of
Okay.
course. I was always trying to sharpen my knives here, and I felt like they were always dull. No matter what, they would get dull again. And like, oh, you just use what they call a rat tail here, but it's like that long
Right, right.
sharpener thing. And I'm like, they're still dull. This doesn't chop a piece of paper, like what's going on? Then I went to Japan. The steel is better. It's sharper, a little harder, and like they stay sharp for months. But I wanted to learn how to sharpen them, so I started to become kind of into these kitchen knives. I got a lot of Santoku knives, which is like the three use knife where you could use it for a lot of stuff. It's a basic kitchen knife.
Mm-hmm.
And I got some like a European style chef knife, but in Japanese steel. Started to really, really dig it. But I've always had a thing for knives and weapons and swords and things like that. Darts, throwing things. I went to the in Akihabara. They used to have the Sega buildings. I
Okay.
think they changed the name to something else after like whatever. It's been 40 years and now they're not Sega anymore and people are like, "Whoa, how dare you?" But when they were the Sega buildings, it's an arcade, right? And you play video games. I played some games and then I spent the rest of the time throwing darts because they had darts. And I just threw darts with my right hand. Then I threw darts with my left hand because my right hand was getting tired. And I can just do that kind of crap for like obsessively, I think, when
Okay.
it's. Yeah, so I think that's why I like the blades and stuff like that. But I just also love the kitchen knife is sharp and you go to cut stuff and it cuts it like it's not there.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah, and so okay, so the axe throwing and the star throwing, have you ever done those before?
I have thrown stars. I have not thrown the axes yet. I've been wanting to do it for years. Literally, like I don't know however many years axe throwing's been around.
Yeah.
I've wanted to do it. I've never been able to put it together.
Have you ever been to a Ren fair, like a Renaissance festival?
I have never been to a Renaissance
Oh, you're
festival.
missing out. You're missing out. Okay.
Apparently.
Oh yeah, so they have the axes there along with the throwing knives and such. And then it's funny because you're talking about swords, and I'm looking at two of them right now that are in my room.
Nice.
The first one is a fencing sword. Um,
Oh, that's
so it
cool.
has a really neat piece to it at the top.
Oh, the guard there. Yeah.
And then the other one, which
Beautiful.
I'm not gonna take out, is peace tied right now. But it's my knighting sword. So
Okay.
I'm a part of Dagger here, and we after years of service to the realm and all that stuff, we go through the page, squire, and knighthood, and so I have my own knighting sword. So
Oh, wow. Amazing.
it's pretty sweet. But yeah, it was just funny you were talking about it, and I'd look over to my right, and I was like, "Oh shit, I got swords. That's pretty cool." Now, I assume you have. You said you love swords and stuff, so I assume you have katanas or some sort of swords in your house. Is that correct?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
And I have the practice swords as well, like the boken, and in Japan they call them bokuto.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I do have this, and yeah, oh man, I would love to get. There are not very many traditional like katana makers anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to be wealthy enough someday to be able to purchase one from one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of expensive though. I think like at the cheap end, it's like $50,000 or something.
Oh,
So
okay. So chump change.
yeah, chump change. And then, but here's the thing: these people aren't going to be around forever. So sooner or later, you can't get them anymore. So the way I
Right.
see it is, it's probably an investment.
Yep, probably.
I wouldn't care though. It's not about the money. It's not about the fact. It's about the artistic beauty and the craftsmanship that goes into it. I absolutely love that. There's something about the sword is a lot like the spirit in some way. You know, you forge your character and your spirit through sometimes difficulty, but also through skill and finesse and intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I concur.
You concur.
I concur.
Yeah, I
Um,
love these things. Sword is fantastic.
so Kabar, it says
A bar, yeah.
K-Bar. Um, it says they're the
Uh,
rebels who joined. So am I reading this wrong? Is this the wrong thing? Where it's talking about rebels who joined the Confederation probably in the ninth century?
Yeah, you'd probably have to look for like K-bar knives, and then that'll work out for you. Yeah. And it might be like, I don't know if it's K-bar with a dash between the
Yeah,
C
there's
and
a
the A.
dash. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
why.
Oh, that's a sweet knife.
Hell yeah.
That's
These are classic.
yeah, this is sweet knife.
Yeah, U.S. Marine Corps knives, right?
Mm-hmm. Used by Marine Corps, Navy, and the Army.
So it's not all Japanese. That's
No,
all you know. It's
I get it. Designed in 1942. Oh yeah, this is a pretty knife.
yeah. So I have one of these, as well as the United States Space Force version,
What?
the USSF
That's
uh,
amazing.
K-bar. Which I absolutely love because it's kind of amazing. Like you're gonna be in space and you just gotta like drill somebody with a knife.
Can't shoot them, so I mean that's the way to do it.
I love it. Yeah, these commie aliens aren't coming to get. They're not coming to get. They're not coming to get me. So yeah, I'm ready to go.
Let's talk about kung fu.
Okay.
So, since we're on like
I
knives
love
and
the
such.
transition because these
Yeah,
are the a hard turn, but you know it's weapons, it's fighting, it's whatever.
exactly.
Kung Fu
Hung
I always felt was a bit more artistic and spiritual though than fighting. You know.
yeah, yeah. So, Hunga, right? Or Hungar.
Yeah, yeah.
So Chinese martial art belong to the Shaolin styles,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, all the animal styles and all that.
Okay, great. Traditionally, students spend anywhere from several months to 3 years in stance training, often sitting horse stance for an hour and a half, several at a time before learning any forms.
Yeah,
So yeah, we did.
true.
My acting teacher was very much into this style, and so because we did stage combat. And so
Ah,
he made us do some of this where like we'd have to stand in one pose like this the entire time and just make sure and then do this back and forth and make sure that it's on right. And it's so funny that he tried so hard to make it like this where it's nowhere near this. It's nowhere near this. But he tried.
uh,
um
it, it kind of makes sense because you see this style a lot in some of the kung fu movies. Like there's Jackie Chan, Drunken Master.
okay.
He's playing him. The character that's him and his father are playing like the two most famous like Hungar practitioners from the day.
Mhm.
So Drunken Master is a big one. And like I think if they call this Drunken Master 2 is the big famous one. It was the Legend of the Drunken Master maybe in English.
Mhm.
And so yeah, Yun Wu Ping is the choreographer there, and so they did Hungar style in that. There was another one called Once Upon a Time in China with Jet Li, and he's playing Wang Fei Hung as well. And so they did this, and you know when you do that style, you're kind of like, yay, there they are doing it in this movie. And it makes you happy. So that, but yeah,
Why
no, I did this for a while.
Why is it called the Drunken Master? What does that mean?
There's a drunken style. Like, see, here's the thing about people in the old days doing martial arts, right?
Hmm.
Now, it's not like some, um, generally not some, how do you say? It's not a well-to-do. kind of thing. Like you're usually sort of a degenerate. Like who's paying you to do kung fu in like the 1800s, or you know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
not. Yeah. So granted, you just like basically you just like kung fu fighting and drinking. So I think Wang Fei Hung liked drinking, and so he created this style that was literally the drunken style of kung fu, and yeah. So it's supposed to it sort of imitates the movements of someone who might be doing kung fu, but like sloppily and falling around. It's actually really difficult to do, like physically difficult.
Yeah. I
But
mean, if
yeah,
Jackie Chan is doing it, it's probably going to be fucking difficult.
it's just awesome. Jackie Chan doing it is it's the best you'll see. Is
Right.
Drunken Master 2 in 2000 there, The Legend of the Drunken Master. Yeah, it's the best you'll see of that. The choreography is crazy and this it's silly. It's kung fu movies are silly.
Right.
I've loved kung fu movies my whole life though, and I'm going to love them and that's just what it is.
I see no problems in that.
Good
I don't.
movie. Thank you. Thank you. Galvos the Green.
All right, boxing.
Yeah.
Is that because
So
you
like
celebrate Boxing Day up in Canada, or is that because you actually like boxing?
no, I actually like boxing.
Okay.
It's a sport I've liked my whole life. Like I don't really watch sports. Do you know what I mean? Like if you ask
Yeah.
me about the football game or the hockey game or the basketball game, I don't know about those. I'm like, oh, did the rubber ball make it to the thing?
Right, right. Sports ball. Hooray.
Yeah, exactly. I don't discount the athleticism or anything or the teamwork. It's amazing, but I never really got into it. But like two dudes beating each other, I've always gotten into it.
You should rephrase that though. You should beating up each other. Not
Beating each other up.
Yes, there you go.
Look. I'm open-minded. We
Okay.
can. I'll leave the door open. I'm leaving that door open. Two dudes beating each other. I leave the door open.
Okay, so what have you watched before? Don't judge, Panda. I judge the least, Sencha. Don't worry. Um,
And,
what like are there specific boxers that you follow? Do you watch like we have like pay-per-view boxing? Is that the
mm,
stuff that you watch?
yeah, I have watched a lot of that. I also did some for a couple of years. It was a thing I was doing for really for exercise because I'm not like gonna be a boxer, but I
Right.
just doing boxing training is hard enough that you definitely burn the calories and you get to learn something kind of cool, throw punches well, footwork and all that kind of stuff. Lots of cardio. So really, really fun. And then yeah, when I watch it, yeah, I think some of the older guys were probably the ones that I like to see their fights the most.
Okay.
Like, okay, everybody probably knows Floyd Mayweather,
Okay. I've heard
because
Mayweather before, yeah.
he's been in the limelight recently. He was really good. Well, he was like 50-0, so he never actually lost a fight. So he was very, very fast, really, really smart, barely ever gets hit. That kind of stuff is interesting in boxing. There was a guy named Manny Pacquiao who's from the Philippines who was just like a phenom, was crushing people back in the day.
Hmm.
One of my very favorites though was a guy named Roy Jones Jr. He had something special back when he was in his prime. He could do things I've never seen someone do in boxing, like have your hands behind your back and then like throw a lead hook. Usually you have to set up hooks and stuff because people can see him coming. They didn't see them coming. He was able to do stuff that no one could do, and he made a bunch of rap songs too. So, you know,
Yeah, they said his nicknames are Superman, Junior, RJ, and Captain Hook.
Captain Hook, yeah, he had that left hook that was just like bonk.
Wow.
They people would go out like a light.
Wow. Do you
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
movie Bloodsport?
Yes, of course. I love that movie. As a child, I watched it all the time.
I've never heard of this movie.
You've never heard of Bloodsport with
Uh,
Jean-Claude Van Damme?
no.
This
I'm
with
sorry.
who? Okay, who knows Bloodsport in the chat? Come on.
I did not mean to make you upset. I'm
So
sorry.
I understand you were not alive. It's not fair.
Chan
China back
knows.
again.
Books, Brews,
Yes,
and Booze knows.
that's it. Chong Li. Oh no, is it Chong Li in? Because this is what's his name? Bolo Young, right? And he was in Enter the Dragon, the enemy you see there. He's getting kicked in the chest.
Yeah, yeah.
Bunch of Van Damme, who's this is who Johnny Cage was based after, basically. If you look at the way he looks, and everything, there's
Okay.
that.
Was
But
that the
Bolo
one with
Young,
the hug Mongolian fighter who killed his opponents in a secret tournament?
yes.
Spoiler alert.
Okay, but no, this
Right.
is that. It's not that. This is what they based that off of. Jean-Claude Van Damme was in that one too, but I think that one was called Legend,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken. So this is Bloodsport. It's based off of a fake story that a fake martial artist made up about himself. Okay, is that like weird enough?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, you know how based on a true story and then they change everything?
Right.
This is
Titanic. Got it.
this is based on a true story and they didn't have to change anything because it's not based on a true story. This guy made up all this stuff about him being king of martial arts and the secret tournaments and
Oh my
I
god.
I have the record for fastest knockout, fastest punch, fastest kick, fastest helicopter dick, like it's it's a total fabrication, but the movie's great.
That's amazing.
A
That's
fake true
amazing.
story. Yeah.
Yeah. Went down
And
a
he
wiki
sold it.
rabbit hole about this one night. Man, I go down wiki rabbit holes all the flippin' time. That's why we're here.
Hmm.
Um okay, so you went into boxing. What about weightlifting? So you said that you got a bunch of stuff behind you.
Absolutely, yeah. I have all the weightlifting stuff, all the dumbbells, barbells, and all that stuff. Cage there. Excuse me. And weightlifting, I started to get into that when I was pretty young, I think. I didn't do it seriously until I was about 18 years old,
Hmm.
where I started to try, like I was trying to put on mass and trying to get bigger and lift, lots of weight and be strong. But I think the very first time I was ever lifting weights, it was like those weeder weights that are like a brown plastic with concrete inside.
Yeah, yeah.
You know those?
I do. I actually know exactly what you're talking about.
They're in like a lot of dad's basements and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, or
Yep.
garages. Yeah. So that's it. And like sooner or later, the concrete starts falling out because the seam breaks a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I started with those when I was like 14 years old, and I was just like doing curls because that's the important thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, from then on, I got into it because I just wanted to be in stronger and in more shape, more for doing martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
But it became a thing of its own. Like if you have injuries and stuff, you can do a lot of different movements to kind of fix those injuries. You can also give yourself a lot of injuries doing weightlifting too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, something about lifting a heavy thing, it's real simple and then also real complicated because trying to do it correctly is a thing. And
Right. You want to make sure you have good form when you do it.
yeah,
Especially if you're doing the big one. What is that one called? The really big bar that has the weights on it.
like the Olympic bar,
Yeah, like the huge one, not dumbbells, but the really big one that you use.
barbell.
Barbell. Yeah, yeah. So especially with that, you need like ridiculous form. Deadlift. Yeah, the
The
ones you deadlift.
deadlift, the
Yeah.
squats, all that stuff. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so okay, I saw this one and I was very confused. What's cold exposure?
Oh, okay. That's like doing say cold showers, getting into a cold bath, like ice bath or that kind of thing. Going outside when it's minus whatever, and just kind of I started that because of I don't know. Some people might have seen Wim Hof, the Iceman. He's a dude who's a little crazy-ish, but at the same time he did all this wild stuff. Like he ran a marathon in the Arctic Circle with just his shorts.
Oh my
Um,
god. Yeah, this picture of him is him in a thing of ice. Ice
yeah.
bath.
Yeah, he
Ugh.
just hang. I think he's able to do that for like an hour.
Oh my
I think he
god.
gave a speech in one of those where he's completely frozen. He has the record for swimming under the water, like under an ice sheet, and all that kind of stuff. He's climbed Mount Everest with no shirt on
Oh my
in the
gosh.
in the death zone and stuff. So, but the thing was, I thought it was interesting. Is like I don't know, like how good is cold for you or not for you. All the stuff they say, there's science around it. It's not really important to me. It was more that like I've hated being in Canada essentially because it's cold a
Yeah.
lot. All right. And so like it gets to me. It's gotten to me forever. It's gotten to me forever. And then I saw that and I thought, he was like, really, it's just a switch in your mind. You're afraid of it being cold. Your body has a natural kind of fear reaction. Like, hey, if you're in the cold too long, this is a problem. And you immediately have trouble. It's like, it's more the fear than the actual thing. So there was this free course that he did to show what he was doing. It lasted about a month. And you did a bunch of breathing, and then you get in the shower and you do like 30 seconds just cold water.
Right.
Then you change it. And it got up to 3 minutes at some point.
Wow.
And then like here, the cold water here is cold.
Yeah.
Like it's wintertime, it's effing cold. So you can get like a brain freeze from how cold it is if your head is underneath it. But I got to the point where 3 minutes was not a problem. I could just be under there. Now I can go out in the snow. It could be minus 13 or something, and I could be out there for 5 minutes or so in a t-shirt, and I'm cool.
Right.
You know?
Literally.
And I'm like, yeah, yeah, well, I'm cool, but I'm also I don't feel that I'm dumb. No, but I don't feel like it's a problem. And that was never the case before. And honestly, I don't know if it's really getting exposed to the cold or whatever. I know a lot of people do it for inflammation, but I thought maybe it was really just a mental thing. Like you can just be like, okay, I'm not afraid of this at all. And
Yeah.
so then it just stops bothering you like it did. And it's weird, the weirdest thing, but that was the what I got from it the most. So I mentioned cold exposure for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that fascinating. I always liked going out in the cold in my cul-de-sac,
Mm.
during like around the New Year's time area. You could see all the stars and such, and it was just like you could see your breath, but it was
Yeah.
silent and it was just cold and it felt so good.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
That's a great picture.
Yeah, it's a good memory. Okay, so breathing. So like deep breathing, practice breathing, intentional breathing. You put down breathing as one of your physical things. What specifically?
Well, Wim Hof has one where you do like a lot of hyperoxygenation.
Okay.
So you can hold your breath for a longer time. Like you'll notice you go, I'm holding my breath for 2 minutes. It's not a big deal. So that's interesting. So that's a lot of breathing kind of fast, like in and out quickly and taking in a lot of breath. I like martial arts style breathing. Like a lot of kung fu exercises are breathing routines, like a lot of in, out, that kind of stuff. Today I actually did some. There was a guy called what's his name? Shi Hen Yi, I think. So it's like Shi Heng Yi, right? So like Shi Hen Heng Yi, I think, maybe. It's like Shengyi, I would say.
S
So
H
she,
E,
maybe She or Shi.
and then what's the rest of it?
Then Hen, like it's three words, right? So Shi, then
Okay.
Heng, maybe Heng, and then Y I. Sorry, yeah, I'm trying to put it together. Is it that or is it Shi Hen Yi?
Shi
She.
Heng Yi. S
That's it. You
Shengyi.
got YI. Yeah, that's it. See, I had trouble saying it. But that's him. Yeah, and I did one of his. He's a like a Shaolin, the European Shaolin headmaster, I think.
Okay.
So he does kung fu like all day, every day. That's his thing. And well, what's the story with that? He had a whole breathing routine as well as like you're clenching muscles at the same time. So like you hold your fists as tight as you can for 2 minutes after doing a breathing routine. You clench like you do a breathing into your belly and then try to clench all the muscles in your torso for a couple of minutes, and then you do that a few rounds of that kind of thing, and it seems to loosen up your muscles and just give you something. And so there's something about breath, that no matter what you're applying it to, like we have to breathe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So being able to control your breath, being able to have control of that. There was a guy who was one of the greatest jujitsu players of all time. If anybody knows like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, his name was Hickson Gracie, and he did like yoga and like that undulating belly kind of exercises with breathing, and he would say like that's why he won every single fight that he ever got in, because he could just breathe a little better than the other guy. He could bring his heart rate down just a little faster. And so that dude's getting tired when he's not getting as tired, and then there's an opening and he wins. You
Wow.
know? So he knew how to survive. And I think breathing and survival are probably this really linked thing. Like if we can't breathe for a long enough period of time, you're dead. Like you can go without water longer than you can go without breathing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you are the guy that I want to spend when there's a zombie apocalypse. 100%. Like, you're that guy that I want to be like, hey, I got to get up to fucking Canada to get up to Rick because I'm not going to survive otherwise.
I think the zombies move slower here though, because it's
Yeah,
cold, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Chateau Chambord.
Chateau Chambord is when we did that road trip in France. It's a big castle in France and is spectacular.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That was a changing moment for me too, going there. Yeah, that's it. You see the people in the front?
Oh, yeah, wow.
Yeah, it's massive, massive. There's a double helix staircase in the inside and just a
Wow.
zillion rooms. And there was what, the 3 minutes, 3 days, 3 weeks, air, water, food. That's it. Infozar's got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went there, and I guess it was, yeah, what was it, King Francis the First?
Okay.
He started this thing because he was like, okay, this is a kind of a mosquito-ridden, jungly kind of area here in France, and he loved hunting and being on his horse. So he's like, oh, I'll make this thing to be a monument to what France is all about, and that way, well, it'll be like the guest home for when we bring dignitaries from other countries and that kind of stuff. But just having this idea that I think it took like four different kings before this thing was even finished,
Wow.
and there was something about that. I understand, like, well, I'm sure people don't really love monarchies and that kind of thing. Like there was a French Revolution and all of that, of course, too, right? But the idea that this dude could have that kind of vision and ambition to be like, well, let's build the craziest castle ever, and then do it.
Mm-hmm.
Something about that. It really got to me. I am now here 400 years later, walking around, or more than 400 years later, walking around this guy's castle that he decided he was going to make because he liked hunting. And it got me for some reason, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. What is that one called? Tale of Two Cities? Is that what it is? Where they're building a what's it for the monks? A monastery? Is that what it's called? For
Yeah,
monks?
monastery.
Yeah, yeah. And they're building this monastery and church, and it took like how many different kings and people reigns to get through, and not only that, but the passing of paper. Well, no, we're not actually going to build this. Well, no, the previous king said this, right? But I'm the new king and I'm saying this. And then that king goes back and says, why isn't this monastery built? And you're like, well, the last king said that we couldn't do that. So I can only imagine what it was like building this chateau,
Yeah.
what it was like to go through several kings, and to make it last and make it as beautiful as it is, like 100% beautiful.
Yeah. And it's just like, it's just breathtaking in every way. And yeah, and yeah. And just that there's pictures, obviously you can see the pictures, but
Hmm.
there's something about, I'm sure anyone who's been anywhere and saw something big, like the picture is what it is.
Yeah.
But when you walk up in front of it and you're in the presence of these kind of things, it's just like, wow, people can do some amazing things, I
Yeah.
guess is what it is.
Especially in that time, in that era, you know what I mean? They didn't have like all this type of scaffolding and elevators and all that shit that we have now that would make
Yeah.
it so much easier.
And they did it anyway. They made it happen. So yeah, it's just really, I think that king was also a fan of Leonardo da Vinci. So I know they had kind of wanted to make it look a bit like something he would have designed.
Okay, yeah. Built in Renaissance
So
style.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I just found it very beautiful. And then this whole idea of just like, I was like, this person who was a human being like me, found a way to just make this happen. I understand they were placed in a pretty advantageous position to do that. But one way or the other, it's there, it happened, and here I am looking at it. Some guy from Canada, you know, which I'm not sure was the plan, you know, that right?
Right.
And I'm here to see it, and I don't know, it caught me. It definitely caught me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that, quite like that before.
Yeah,
So
I think I've always felt a little bit like I can't do things too when I think of stuff like, oh, you need to be, you know, okay, granted this guy was a king who did it, but whatever, like you need to have something special, or you need to be someone special, or you need to have this or that, whatever conditions need to be met, then you can do big things or
right,
that kind of stuff. But I don't know, I saw that and I was like, that's a human man. And I'm a human man, and what, you know, what one man can do, another can do. Maybe not this thing, but I could probably do the small things I want to do, like maybe have a stream or whatever. You know, like
right,
I could
right.
do this kind of stuff, and it could work. It doesn't necessarily have to not work. I'm a pessimist in some of those ways. Like I think people won't like me, or people won't connect with the things that I'm saying, or whatever. But no, I saw this castle, and I was like, you know what? If this castle can be here for all this time, get built in the first place, four kings oversee it, and it still manages to be made, you know, and it's ridiculous. It's a giant castle. You know, it's not a right.
Yeah, Alki
Like
said it perfect. Why would you build something so extravagant? Because it's cool.
because it's cool, you know, because it's cool, because he can, because they can. And I was
Right.
like, well, if he can do that, I can probably do something. You know, I can do something with what I have, and I don't know. Maybe that's just the place I was mentally, but this was definitely the catalyst for it, and probably why I suggest traveling if you can travel. Like if you've never been out of your environment, sometimes traveling can show you things you wouldn't have, and your mind might change just in that second.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. I went to Aruba, and there were these castles on the other side of Aruba, like the rocky side and stuff. And there were these like broken down castles and stuff. And again, I didn't have the feeling that you're describing, because what you're describing is so extravagant that I can only dream to feel that way. But it did feel really cool to be someplace years later and be like, hey, I'm here. Like, this is. And I don't think it was meant to be that way. Like, I don't think some girl from Kansas City was meant to be over here. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I get that. So we're going to talk
I know what
about
you mean.
two more things. One, we're not going to
Okay.
end on a bad note. We're going to start with a bad note, which is Avatar 2. Tell me why you had the need to write down Avatar 2.
You put dislikes, right?
I
You put
put dislikes.
dislikes.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, and we're gonna do Avatar too. You know, I said cognitive dissonance. I said
You know what?
a
We
bunch of
talked
stuff.
about some of that stuff
Yeah,
in different ways, but we're going to talk about Avatar
I think we
2.
did. Let's get to Avatar 2. You
Yeah.
know, I think it's more important actually.
Yeah.
Okay, then maybe I'm an old person. That could be the thing. I could
Mhm.
be an old person. I would never want to trash. I generally don't want to trash movies because it's actually really hard to make movies,
Mhm.
even bad movies. You know, like they're not trying to make a bad movie. These people are working hard. It's thousands and thousands of hours. You work like 16, 17 hours. You know, it's hard. So, no offense to anybody who's out there making movies, or if you worked on Avatar 2, I'm sorry, but I didn't like the movie. Okay, I felt like it was special effects the movie,
Got
and
it.
that's it. You know, special effects were great. Yay, cool. We talked about exposition. It starts with narrating a montage.
Oh my god.
Like I'm here and we have kids and now we got to do something else and now we got to go and here we are in the water area. I'm like, okay, so you did all of this to get us to the water place just because you wanted to make it about water? Like,
Right.
come on, man. And then I was like, okay, maybe now's the time it's gonna pick up. You
Yeah.
know, it's gonna work out. We're gonna change. The water was the focus, so we got there. It's gonna be fine. Nothing happens. I'm sorry. Things explode and stuff happens, but nothing happens. It's the same scene over and over. Oh, this kid gets into trouble. The dad's like, you shouldn't be in trouble. And then it happens again. And then he says, don't do it. And then it happens again. And he says, don't do it. Like, does this need this much time? You know, where are characters? Where's the character development? Things happen with characters constantly that just don't really pan out at all and are completely unnecessary. You just want to be, you just want to be showing me this. I was so bored. Oh my God. So yeah, I disliked it.
Infozar said, "Who is the Hollywood film mogul who would give standing ovation at the end of every screening, no matter how poor the film, because making any film was such a huge accomplishment?" I can't tell if
Oh,
that is a fact, like a question, like a real Hollywood mogul, or are you mogul, or are you
mogul, yeah.
mogul, or are you just saying like there's nobody who does that? I can't tell
No,
if that's
there,
sarcasm or
there,
not.
there was a real dude who did that. I'm not sure who it is though. I know it's not Alfred Hitchcock. Yeah, it was a real thing. I can't remember who it was. Yeah, no, it's a real thing. There was a guy. I can't remember who it was either. Infozar. I'm sorry about that. Maybe we can. Standing ovation. Classic. Is it somebody who worked for Metro Golden Mayer? Maybe. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. You got me. You got me. I don't know trivia. I guess. But no. It might have been one of those guys. Was it Howard Hughes? I don't think so. I don't think it was Howard Hughes.
I'm
But
not sure.
maybe. But yeah, Infozar is right. There was a Hollywood mogul
Would give a
who
standing
would do that.
ovation to
Give
every
a standing
movie.
ovation. Yeah,
Ugh.
because it was like, look, it's tough. It's tough to do. Movies actually shouldn't exist. Do you know what I mean? Like the difficulty it is to go from somebody has an idea and you start to write, and then you have to get funding, literally millions of dollars for it, and everyone has to sign off, and then actors have to show up, and somebody has to want to make the, and then there has to be marketing, and people have to go see it. Like all of this is actually very hard. You have to make a bunch of things that aren't happening look like they are happening
Right.
and make it entertaining. It's tough, and it's not as easy as it looks. And just because we have a lot of like previous knowledge of how to do it, you still have to do it. It's kind of like, hey, walk that tightrope over the Grand Canyon. Other people have done it, so obviously it's doable. Go ahead.
Right.
So it is actually tough. So me shitting on
No, you can
Avatar,
shit on whatever you want. You have opinions and you are allowed to have those opinions. But you are
but
also saying that you appreciate the art form. And I think that is important when you're saying that you have opinions about stuff.
yeah, but they definitely put it together like a way that I'm seeing is pretty common. I don't know if this has something to do with like I said, I might be old, and like the newer generations have gone through like a lot of TikTok, a lot of Instagram, a lot of social media that's just like, here's a thing, here's a thing, here's a thing. And I got the impression it made $2 billion, so I'm feeling like people liked it.
Yeah.
Somebody's digging it. Um, and yeah, I just sort of feel like that's what it was. Like, here's an emotional thing. Here's some action. Here's another emotional thing. Here's some action. They felt disconnected,
Yeah.
um, to me, but maybe that doesn't matter if you're a younger kid and you're like, yeah, I watch disconnected scenes all the time. As long as there's
Right.
emotions are happening. Awesome. Shiny things, explosions. Somebody's dead. Oh no, somebody's dead. So yeah.
I think that's a great connection to make for the, Gen Z versus, or the iGen versus what we're seeing. And I know we're talking about being old, but it's just being older.
Mm.
I don't think we're old.
Wait, okay, we're not old. Okay, fair enough. Alchemmutation, maybe it was Howard Hughes. I don't know. He made a lot of crazy movies in his day, so it could have been.
All right, so we'll touch on cognitive dissonance since you made me feel
Yeah.
bad about it.
No, no, no,
Uh,
we don't have to. And speaking of Howard Hughes, there was a movie from Martin Scorsese called The Aviator, and I was an extra in the movie.
oh, shut up. Okay, I definitely want to
Yeah.
talk about that. 2004
Okay.
or
Yeah.
1985.
No, 2004. It
Okay.
would have been a newer one. The
I
I,
know
I
this movie.
Yeah,
Leonardo
with Leonardo
DiCaprio.
DiCaprio. Yeah. Yeah. And like yeah, all of them, Kate Blanchett and everybody.
So tell
Everybody
me
was in
real
it.
quick about this. You were an extra, you said?
I was an extra, so for like 6 nights, because it was night shoots, we were
Mm-hmm.
playing nighttime, and they had rebuilt Grauman's Chinese Theater, which is in it's called something else now, but it was called they call it the Man's Theater in LA. But we had it in our town, basically built there, and yeah, you could be an extra in the movies. So we were extra for like 6 days, chilling out right next to Leonardo DiCaprio a couple of times, and Gwen Stefani was there in one of the scenes. I think she was playing not Ginger Rogers, but one of them. One
That's
of the one.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah, super fun. And we were also in a scene that was the Coco Bongo Club, and so what's his name? Jude Law was playing
I love
Errol
Jude Law.
Flynn.
I love Jude Law
Yeah,
so much.
I was right there. I actually got hit with the camera crane because I was like sneaking my way. Like I kept like taking between takes, I would take like 3 steps closer to the action, over and over until eventually like the crane was hitting me.
Oh my god.
And so the crane hit me and they're like, "You all right?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm fine." And like I'm not gonna make it about you because it's definitely my fault.
Right, right.
But yeah. Like Jude Law gets into a fight and these stuntmen go down. I was like right with them. I like kneeled down, pretended to be, helping the stunt woman who went down, and then the crane hit me, and I was like, okay, I can't be here.
Right, right. Oh my god, that's so cool though. So,
Mm.
did you ever get to like talk to any of them, or it was just
No, I didn't want to talk to Leonardo DiCaprio. He looked like really focused, and everybody was working so hard. And but I got to see Leonardo DiCaprio. I got to see Martin Scorsese doing their thing, and so like I'm cool with it. I didn't get to talk. I
yeah,
was not a
you were
part of
in
any
the
of that.
moment though. That's fucking incredible.
Was there? It was really fun.
Okay, so we're at time, but I want you to talk
Okay.
about your show. I want your interview
Oh.
show. I want you to plug yourself. Okay, I didn't say that the right way. I
Ah,
want you
hello.
to plug your show.
I will plug myself. So yeah, no, my new show that I guess a lot of you probably have seen, but like if anybody hasn't seen it, it is Neon Ballroom. I do it tomorrow. We have Sarcasm and Shots. It's basically that. I just want to have conversations kind of like this, although this is amazing because we stay on some sort of topic, but we also switch topics. It's a conversational talk show where I just really wanted to get to know some of these amazing streamers that are in my in my chat. I keep seeing these streamers. I follow your streams, and I'm like, what got you going in this? What is your life? Who are you? And that's essentially the whole deal. And then of course I do the other stuff. I do Weird Wednesday, Sci Friday, where I read 50s comics. We watch 50s movies. Sencha was on the show last. He
Mm-hmm.
was great. We talked for 4 hours. It was so much. Um, and yeah, and then also I started doing gaming a little bit on Monday. I've been playing Saints Row. When that game's over, I don't know if I'll continue because I don't do a lot of gaming. But I did it because I was inspired by gamers, so I did it. So that is what it is.
That's awesome.
It's everything I'm doing. So thank you so much for having me here. I really had a
Yeah.
great time. This is an amazing show.
Oh, I'm so happy you feel that way. I'm so happy you feel that way. It's a great format. I can't take too much credit for it because it was designed by Tipsy Roo, who no longer streams.
Ipsy
But he developed this format, and I was on it, and I watched the YouTube about it. And since he no longer streams, I was like, I should bring this back for the community that I'm in because there's so much going on in our community. I've got my community from Mixer all the way back to the beginning of streaming. Back in 2018, I've got friends from there, and then I've also got you guys over on this side where I'm able to touch on that topic. So I'm really excited to have you. I think you did an excellent job. I think your views on things are positive. I think that you are an amazing human being, and I'm so thankful that you were able to come on.
Thank you so much. And I need to go to the bathroom so bad, so
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna bounce.
yeah. We're gonna bounce, so it's fine. Everybody, thank you so much. We're gonna rate
Ciao, ciao,
out
everyone.
Ragged. You can sign off right now.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah.
signing off. Thank you so much, Rusty. Bye bye.
Bye. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and rate out. Um, we're going to probably rate into mildly aggressive folk if they're on, which they are not. Who is on? Um, we're gonna raid into Asian Sensation. Some of you may know her. She's an amazing human being. She's a sensation, if you will. And let's raid into her. Thank you guys so much for popping in. I super appreciate it. Ragged World, thank you so much for hanging around. Guys, go ahead and give Asian Sensation a follow, and I will see you next Wednesday. Have a good one.